My name is Jesse Davis, host of the Penthouse Podcast, where I interview a lot of my longtime friends, some of the members of my club, and some of Wilmington's finest people. I am so excited to do this show, and I hope you will tune in. Thank you. So this is our first off-site podcast. Me and Zach's first off-site interview. I'm really lucky to have the mayor here.
But still high.
We're still high up.
We're still high up.
So the whole idea is for us to actually do Penthouse podcasts all over the country at some point. So we just, you're the first off-site one. So
that's cool.
It's exciting.
That's good. I'm glad I'm the first.
God forbid the Penthouse, whenever and if and whenever, we can still keep the Penthouse podcast thing going.
Yeah. Well, I hope you do.
So it gives us a chance to actually go see other, owners of businesses, whether it's the Ritz-Carlton or, somebody's residence or whatever.
There's some amazing businesses and there's some amazing places
Penthouse is the
around
best.
here. It is the best.
But I always say, I'm sure you caught some flack for this, but you know what? You deserve it. You do. I mean, why would they, you don't want to be sitting in the bottom floor in some corner when you've been mayor for almost 20 years.
Well, one thing I've learned, Jesse, in any decision that you make, whatever it might be, good, bad, or indifferent, you're always going to get criticism.
Oh, there's always somebody
That's part of the
there.
process.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get people that support the decisions you make, and you're going to have people that are going to think that you've made the wrong decisions, and that's just part of the process that we have here in this country. You have an opportunity to voice your opinion, and I'm a firm believer in that. And the other thing that when you do have dissenting opinions about things, it also gives you an opportunity to reflect and to look at things that you might not have looked at that maybe somebody else is looking at. And sometimes it puts you in a better position. It makes you look at things differently. Mm-hmm. So I always look at all opinions, whether they're supportive or they're not supportive, as something that I should look at, because sometimes it gives me insight into something that I may have not looked at or overlooked or something of that nature. That's the great thing about having a diversity of opinions. And I think it just makes public policy and makes whatever you do better.
Oh, that's awesome. And you've done such a good job. I mean, 20 years. Were you right at 20?
Almost 20. I did a year and a half of former Mayor Spence Broadhurst's term, and then I ran for election for mayor in 2007. So I have been elected, I've been 10 times, 9 times as mayor, 1 time as a councilman.
Got it.
So I was first elected in 2003, served about 3 years, and then I served the remaining portion.
Council.
Yeah, that was on city council. And then I served the remaining portion of Spence Broadhurst's term because he moved to Greensboro to take a job. And then I put my name up for election. And
so Spence was before your term.
Yes.
Because I do know he's a great guy.
Yeah, and Spence has since moved back to town, and he was a great mayor and had a lot to do with the building of PPD, with working with Dr. Eshelman and their team, and we all kind of worked together to bring PPD back downtown, which I think was
amazing idea.
I think the spark that created a lot of the renaissance, especially on the north end. I mean, there was always revitalization efforts going on, in the CBD and there foot of Market Street and in the historic district, but this end of town, which was kind of fallow, it was industrial.
Dull. It was really nothing.
Yeah, there was nothing up here.
It was old boat yards back in the day. Is that what it was?
Shipyards, and then at one time, from what I understand, was before my time, was called Tank Town. There was a lot of tanks here where they would store fuel, and then the ships would come up river, put the fuel into the tanks, and then they would spew a lot of the remnants of their hulls onto the ground, which created a tremendous amount of pollution up in this area. So we did a lot of cleanup in this area too.
So
a lot
is that kind of what
brownfield.
happened too on the other end, like the other side of the bridge where all those tanks used to be?
Mm-hmm.
Because as a kid, you drive over and see those big, looks like oil gas tanks.
That's what it is.
So,
Colonial Terminals is a big depository of a lot of fuel for the rest of the state. But this part of the city was also had a lot of fuel tanks up here at one time.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So for those that are curious or just don't really know, what's the job of the mayor? What does
What's
the mayor?
The job of the mayor?
What is the duties that you have to?
Well, I will say that
besides everything doesn't count.
Well, no, it's a unique position. First of all, you're everybody's neighbor. When you're the mayor, you're everybody's neighbor. You are actually, I would say in many cases, the PR person for the city. You speak about the public policies that the city has enacted or voted on. You work very hard to build consensus amongst council members. Obviously, we have 7 members of city council, including the mayor. And you work very hard to build a consensus, to work also with other elected leaders in the region, and also work with your elected delegation in Washington and in Raleigh. And, you make a committee assignments, and you help formulate a budget with the rest of the council members. That's a very important task that the state requires us to do every single year. We have to do it by July 1st, and our last budget was almost $300 million, which is a significant budget. And from that budget, we support the police, the fire department, infrastructure improvement, parks, recreation, affordable housing, supportive housing for people that are homeless, do things for the environment, make great things happen. Keep it thriving, and work on economic development initiatives, including trying to bring more jobs into the community.
Good people for those positions.
Yeah, absolutely, and creating jobs for future generations and for Wilmingtonians here in the community. But
you made a comment about something about being the mayor. You really want to something about enemies. Like it's about not. God, I can't remember what it is. I read something really cool.
Oh, well, my comment that I made was the fact is, it's not how many friends you have in this business, it's how many enemies you don't make in this business. And, my job is to listen to everybody, is to have an open door policy, to try to be fair, to hear what dissenting voices have to say on any kind of decisions that we make. Sometimes we include their dissenting opinions into public policy that we make. Sometimes we do not.
Until it gets to a point where you're like, okay.
But I think it's very important that you listen to people. I think that's the most important thing that any elected leader can do. And you try to make it not a zero-sum game where I win, you lose, but to try to make it a non-zero-sum game where both sides get something. I mean, our system is built on compromise. Yeah, people want to be heard. People, it's built on compromise. At the local level, we deal with, like I said, fire and police, infrastructure improvements, the improvement of our community.
Our roads are great here, I have to say.
Well, part of them are owned by the state.
People say that's one of the first things people go after. Oh, the roads. I'm like, our roads are awesome. They've been doing nothing but expanding. And, every time you turn around, we don't really have, yes, with growth is going to become... You have all these heavy trucks that are carrying these heavy, all this concrete and steel, and the roads are gonna get, beat on. But when I drive down the street, I'm like, God, this city is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It really is.
What's interesting, what people feel every single day, is the fact that there's so many people that come into the city of Wilmington every day.
Crazy.
For a lot of different things. The statistic that I like to share with the citizens and people is that over 50,000 people a day come into the city of Wilmington that are not residents of Wilmington.
Okay.
They come from Brunswick County. They come from Pender County. They come from the outlying counties. They come from the unincorporated areas of the county. And they come into the city. Primarily, most of your job creation is within the incorporated city limits. Okay. So you have a lot of people that come here every single day. 50,000. And you can see the impact of that early in the morning and late in the evening when people are coming in and when people are going out, and, of course, during the course of the day. You also then take into consideration, especially in the spring and the summer months, the amount of people that are coming to the beaches.
Oh, yeah.
And I always tell people, anybody that goes to Riceville Beach, Carolina Beach, or Curie Beach has to drive through the city to get there. Yeah. So if you have 20 to 30,000 people on each one of those beaches in the summer months, which is not unusual, that's Saturday and Sunday.
All those beaches, for sure.
And sometimes on late Friday afternoon, they have to drive through the city to get there. A lot of tourism that comes into our community, which is great for our community.
Absolutely.
It's great for economic development. They spend money here. It helps our sales tax. It helps our small business owners. It helps our overall economy. But it does pose an issue in respect to traffic. So people feel that impact. And when they feel that impact, it frustrates them. I get that. Part of the roads are owned by the state. Part of the roads are owned by the city of Wilmington. The major roadways in the city are owned by the state. Oleander Drive, Market Street, College Road, Shipyard Boulevard. Wrightsville Avenue is owned by the city of Wilmington. But we have to work in conjunction. We have to work in conjunction with the state to maintain our roads and the improvements that we make to our roads, and then we're constantly evaluating what we have to do. This state, the state of North Carolina, is about to move from the 9th biggest state in the country to the 7th biggest state in the country. So we're bringing in an additional 1 million people between 2020 and 2030. The vast majority of the growth that we'll see out of that 1 million people, according to the demographers, these are the people that count the population growth in the state, are Asheville and Buncombe, Charlotte, Mecklenburg, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, and Wilmington, Brunswick County, and Pender. Those are the 4 areas of the state that will see the highest percentage of that growth. So we're dealing with growth issues. Every city in the state of North Carolina, because I am the chair.
Everybody wants to live here now.
Yeah, well, it's a great state, but every person in the state of North Carolina, every city in the state of North Carolina, the larger cities in the state, are dealing with growth issues. We're a popular state. A lot of people are moving here. The state also is the thought process from the state legislature is to reduce the state income tax to zero. That's something that a lot of people don't talk about, but we've gone from 7.5% state income tax to about 4.5%. It's a significant drop. The goal is by 2030 is to try to get it to zero. If it gets to zero, it'll be very similar to Florida, Tennessee, Texas, people that don't have state income tax. So a lot of those folks that go down to Florida because to avoid having to pay state income tax.
A lot of them are retired at that point.
A lot of them are retired, but a lot of them are not, but will move probably here. So you'll see a higher percentage of growth if that were to happen. So I see growth in the future, not only for this area, but for the entire state, for the foreseeable future. So it's something that we're going to have to be dealing with, and future elected leaders are going to have to be dealing with for years to come. It's not going to stop, and you just can't pull up the drawbridges, and you can't just put a toll. The people have a right in this country to move wherever they want to, and a lot of them are making the decision to move here. And look, you've got a beautiful river. You've got the intercoastal waterway. You have the ocean. You have these beautiful area beaches. You have a historic district.
All the trees we still have.
Yeah, so you have a lot of things that are going for you that make it attractive to a lot of people. The geography itself is beautiful, and the weather's pretty good.
Oh man!
So it's
but
still
your job
good.
is 24/7. I mean, I don't see you don't take a lot of vacations. I don't see you like traveling a lot unless it's for work. I mean, you're here a lot.
I stay pretty busy.
If you do travel, where do you like to go and cut loose and just have fun?
Well, I just think wherever I can get away from time to time, and if I can, get there and get back, I always try to make it a point to try to make certain that wherever I go, that I can get back in a day. Quickly if I have to, because
storms.
Unfortunately, you just never know.
You never know what could happen.
What might happen, and you have to be back here for one reason or another. Obviously, hurricane season is always something that I'm always concerned about, as we all are, and we always have to make certain that, that we're nearby and that we're constantly looking at the weather. We're constantly evaluating that, and we're always preparing for that if it were to happen. And God help us.
That was one of my questions I was going to ask you. Is as far as we're in hurricane season now. Always like letting people know, be prepared. Don't wait till last minute to rush to the grocery store to get that water and toilet paper and whatever, bread and all that. And if you can have accessibility to a generator, and the things that people that are moving here aren't really. You've been through so many hurricanes. I mean, in
my life, I've been through a lot, and I've been through some as a mayor. But we're prepared for them. We have a great emergency management team. The city, the county, all the cities in the area all work together. We're constantly practicing these drills. I guess if there's any good news about any hurricane, it is the fact is that we have opportunity and time to prepare for it.
Yeah,
we know within about a week or. That it's coming this way, what to do,
tracking it
and all that stuff. So we're constantly working on that and evaluating that, making sure the evacuation routes are ready, telling people to get out of harm's way. It's a lot of work that goes into that. Don't be stupid, obviously, but if you live
riding around in it and everything else like I do.
But in a place like Wilmington, and a place when you live on the coast. This is something you're going to be dealing with. It's part of it. Like somebody living in California has to deal with earthquakes or wildfires,
which we have had a couple
or tornadoes.
Of earthquakes here. I mean, they're very few and far in between, but it does. Aren't we on a fault line of some sort?
Supposedly we are, and I guess many years ago, in 1800s of some sort, there was a major earthquake in Charleston.
Oh, scary.
If you go through downtown Charleston, you see these bolts on the buildings where they had to twist them to keep them straight.
No way.
Yeah. But that was a significant earthquake, believe it or not, in Charleston, sometime in the 1800s. I don't know the exact date.
And something hot off the press, we have the First Lady. Was that yesterday?
Yeah, Mrs. Biden came to town yesterday. She was talking to a group of military veterans and veteran-owned businesses that were here in the community and touting her husband's achievements as Commander-in-Chief and the things that they have done for military benefits for those families. So she was very gracious. She came to town. And obviously, the president came in here to about 2 months ago and touted the Cape Fear Public Utility Authority and what they were able to do by extracting a lot of lead from the pipes in our community, and also the work that they have done on PFAS, extracting the Gen X from the water supply.
That's getting much better.
And also the EPA used Wilmington as the place where they had made the announcements for PFAS regulations nationwide. This PFAS issue that we're dealing with what we call forever chemicals, what happened with Comores 100 miles upriver from us, is in every water system around the country now, is what they're finding. So extracting those forever chemicals from our water supply is critically important to the administration and to all the citizens. And I've always said it's not a Republican or Democratic issue. It's a humanitarian issue because everybody wants to have good, clean drinking water.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, showering. I know it sounds silly, but I always give my dog bottled water now at this point because you just don't know.
Although the authority has put in filtering systems at the treatment plant, the Sweeney Water Treatment Plant, that extracts 99.9% of those Gen X particles from our water system. So it's as clean as you can get.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
We all look great.
But it's coming at expense to the ratepayers that pay for that, because Comores has not paid one dime out of their pocket for that filtering system. We have paid it. Now, the authority's taking them to court, and hopefully we'll get that money back. But we wanted to make sure that we went ahead and did the filtering system, put it in place. We didn't have time to wait 10 years before we finally get them into a courtroom to make that final determination. So I give a lot of credit to the authority and to the members of the authority for making the right call and doing that.
I do want to bring up some fun stuff, though.
Absolutely.
We do have the movies. The TV and movies are back. We're doing. You're on the film commission board. I understand, and it goes back to Dawson's Creek. And did you ever meet Katie Holmes while she was working here?
I did not. No, I that was a little bit before my time. I did meet a lot of the crew from One Tree Hill.
Barbara Woods, I interviewed her. She's amazing. Her
Yes.
daughters are really going. They're like all big movie stars now.
Yeah.
And Emily was a Gossip Girl. The youngest one has done like all of Dolly Parton's movies.
Yeah.
Natalie, her and her boyfriend Kai, he was on Yellowstone. I interviewed them. But One Tree Hill is definitely, so Barbara comes every year for the big One Tree Hill. It brings a lot of people here.
Absolutely. They were here for 9 years. And what's interesting about that, Jesse, one of the first votes I took as a council member was giving a partial incentive to One Tree Hill before the state came out with an incentive policy. So the city, the county, and the state combined their efforts and gave One Tree Hill an incentive package until they voted on one in Raleigh, which they finally did. And, of course, it
Makes
was
them want to keep coming, too.
Absolutely it does. It's a great thing.
Nobody wants to feel like they're doing everything for free,
Well, sometimes there's a misconception about the incentives. They think that we give them the money up front. That is never the case. The production company, whether it be One Tree Hill, whoever it is, that is doing a production here in Wilmington or in North Carolina for that matter, that qualifies for an incentive has to spend the money first. Okay. It has to be then audited to make sure that they spent the money in the state.
Right places.
And then they get a percentage of that spend back to the production companies every time. It generates jobs. They spend a lot of money in our community.
Recognition.
They rent places. They buy food. They buy material for us.
Money.
Yeah, they spend a tremendous amount of money. And some of these productions, like Iron Man, I think it was over
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey
They
Jr.
were filming over the river.
That's right. Over $100 million was spent here.
Wow.
Bolden, which
that's the one I couldn't remember the name of that movie. That's the one that's been going on forever, right there. I was an extra in that at one point, a long time ago.
So the movie was about this guy named Buddy Bolden, kind of the godfather of the originator of jazz that Louis Armstrong learned from. A guy by the name of Pritzker, a very wealthy individual, comes from a wealthy family, did this on his own and over a number of years, and I think it's the largest.
Life, I think, too, right?
Yeah, and I think it was over $120 million that they spent.
It's still not done.
I don't know if it's done or not, but I don't know. They may have distributed. I'm not certain, but that was the largest spend in the history of the state.
Well, The
to
Conjuring
date.
was a good one. Conjuring,
Yes,
that was
yeah,
one of the scariest movies I've ever seen.
So what's interesting, I don't know if a lot of your viewers know this, but the studio was sold
okay.
to CineSpace.
CineSpace.
And CineSpace is
Formerly Screen Gems.
Formerly Screen Gems. Screen Gems with the Cooney family was here with Bill Vassar for many, many years. Did a tremendous job. CineSpace is a big company. They have production facilities in Toronto, Chicago, Berlin, Atlanta, Wilmington now. And they're also, I think, building a facility there in Los Angeles. And they're putting money into this studio here, and their goal is to bring more productions into the community. In addition to that, Dark Horse Studios is also building a facility over $24 million off on Market Street, where the old Coastal Beverage company used to be.
Okay.
They've already got they're starting the erection of 2 sound stages there, significant sound stages, and then converting the old facility into a production facility also. So now Wilmington,
Nunnally, right?
it was T. Nunnally's property, but
awesome.
now you're going to have 2 significant facilities, filming facilities here in the Wilmington area, which we always had 1. Now we have 2, which shows that the business is growing and doing well.
Yeah. Cool.
So, and we want to see that business continue to grow and do well.
I'm lucky, we've got, Jonas and Jennifer Pate, the Outer Banks. They're really good friends of mine. I throw their parties for their kids in the past, and just to have that connection to Wilmington, because that's one of the most successful shows I think ever Netflix has ever had. They're on season 4 or 5.
Yeah. And and Jonas has also started another another film or another show.
Pretty?
No, it's not The Summer Turned Pretty, but it's another one. I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but it's also being done here in Wilmington now.
Okay.
And he's bringing that here to Wilmington. Unfortunately, we didn't get OBX because it ended up in Charleston because of the aftermath of the HB2 debacle that had happened. But his focus was to try to bring some production here to the Wilmington area, and he's doing that.
I love Jennifer. She's fun.
Good.
We've been texting actually this morning.
And a person that has moved into our community and is a citizen here.
Yeah.
Him and his wife and kids.
I was going to say how we met. If anybody, I met you when I was working at the Country Club of Landfall. I was probably 19 or 20 years old.
Were you that? Was it that long ago? You still look 19 or 20 years old.
And I do. I admire your family. I mean, I think probably, you say, I mean, a lot of times you cut from a good cloth. I mean, your family, I mean, I guess your upbringing instills so many, not just work ethics, but just you're a good person.
Well, thank you, Jesse.
And,
I'm lucky enough that I still have my parents. My mother's 89, my father's
yes,
94.
yes.
And
the best.
And they were. I was blessed to have some really good parents.
I was going to ask you.
My mother's obviously very proud, and she immigrated here in 1947 after the war in Greece, and after World War II, and came here. And her father moved here.
Your dad was doing a lot of development in Leland. Was it a lot of the
My dad, I think, did one of the first, if not the first, subdivision in Leland, which was called Old Town.
Okay.
Many, many years ago, back in the 70s.
Like Belleville, right? Is that
right there near Belleville. DuPont had built a plant there in Navassa. And there was a lot of people from DuPont that wanted to be near where they worked. He saw an opportunity. There was some land there. People thought he was crazy to go over there and do a subdivision in Leland at that time, or Belleville area.
That was pretty genius.
And it paid dividends, and he did well with it, and it kind of spurred his interest to stay in real estate, because a lot of people don't realize he was in the restaurant business for many years.
Okay.
My grandfather had a little restaurant there on Front Street called Saffo's Restaurant, and then they had a hotel called the Buchan Room, restaurant with a hotel, which was a Quality Inn hotel there on 3rd Street, where the Bank of America building was, and now the Cafer Community College owns it. That was theirs, and he, I think, always wanted to get out of the restaurant business. It's a tough business, as we know, and I always have tremendous affinities and respect for anybody that's in the restaurant business.
Nights, holidays, and weekends.
Always, and you're always working, and you're always there if you want to have the quality food and the service, and you want to keep the business. And he just said, I just need to do something else. And I think he always had an interest in real estate and went from there.
There's this other show that I was reading about called The Waterfront that might be filming soon. What's all that about? I want to get on that one.
I don't know all of the particulars. Johnny Griffin, who's our film commissioner, knows all of the particulars of the different.
When you find out when they're taking auditions, sign me up.
Different productions that are coming here to Wilmington. They're all different.
So many.
But we have. I think that we're going to have a good year. I know about 3 years ago, before COVID, or right after COVID, we had some really good years, and then we had the strike with the unions, and then of course the actors, the writers, and we've had to kind of work through that. But the industry is changing, and a lot of, as you well know, as most people know, a lot of streaming, all these different companies, and it doesn't seem like these companies are making money. They're losing significant amounts of money. So we're seeing a consolidation of the industry, and it's changing. That industry is constantly in flux and is constantly changing. But they do need more content, and they're going to do. But our film industry here in the state is healthy and vibrant, and it's good. And I give a lot of credit to the people that work in this industry here, but also to our local film commission that worked very hard to get some sort of a grant back after the incentives went away in 2011.
Well, that was like when we lost the Bravo TV show that I did.
That's right.
We filmed it got picked up. I mean, I had my entertainment lawyer. I went to New York, to Rockefeller, to Bravo, and we signed the contracts, and then March 13th happened and got canceled. Yeah. But, I always think there's always a reason for everything.
Always.
And but Birdies was the other one. Birdies was at the golf one with Reed Doyle. Reed, he's the local guy.
Yeah.
Funny as hell, cracks me up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the movie TV thing here is really important.
Well, I mean, look at some iconic movies that were done here. Blue Velvet, which is an iconic movie. Weekend at Bernie's.
Weekend at Bernie's, the best.
Which I think is one of my.
It's one of the best.
One of my faves, yeah.
Was Ballhead? Was it Ballhead?
A lot of it was done in Ballhead, yeah. No, Ballhead Island. A lot of it was.
Sleeping with the Enemy was Figure 8.
No, I'm sorry.
Wait.
No, I'm sorry. You're right. It was Riceville Beach. They had built the house. I'm sorry. I'm getting these things mixed up now. Jesse, you got me mixed up on this thing. Weekend at Bernie's, Ballhead, and then they're at Fort Fisher.
Got it.
That's where they built the house.
Okay.
There where you go on the beach.
Or that was the one that mocked, it was like Landon's house, right? They kind of mirrored it.
That was Sleeping with the Enemy.
God, that was so crazy.
Yes.
Are you talking about the Weekend at Bernie's was mimicked, or they kind of took the shell of it and just do the outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's exciting. I hope the movies and TV keep
it going. Will.
I want to get on one of these shows. So if there's any producers out there, directors, let me know. I'm ready. That water one. You may be
making your own stuff. You may be doing your own stuff, man.
But last night I live. Well, where we're at, we were talking earlier about the proximity where the building is, and you've got now you've got not just Embassy and all that, but you've got flats on front. You've got Pier 33. You've got the
Metropolitan.
I went to the ribbon cutting. It was amazing. At the Cove. What a cool concept that they've developed down there. I mean, Chuck's done the marina. That was another one I lost during COVID. Jesse's Yacht Club, now it's Tequila. I'm going to that event tonight. It's supposed to be really cool. So they invited me to come, and it's it's just kind of one of those things. It was the timing with the show, the restaurants, all the stuff. But it sometimes there's a blessing in disguise, like I said. But now I'm living at Sawmill, so you can see my apartment. Right the window here. My porch is right there. So, but it's cool because I'm so close to work, but with flat Sawmill, I mean, there's literally you sit there. And last night I was sitting on the porch, and I was kind of going over our interview, and I was like, God, it's so beautiful here. The sun was going down. I was having a glass of wine. I saw the dogs playing in the dog park, and I was like, I just felt really safe. I felt like, really relieved to live here. I mean, it's really, you were a big part of making that happen.
Well, I'm proud of what we've been able to do as a group, and I've been blessed to have some really good elected leaders that had good foresight and all working together, and this was a lot of work.
Your city council right now is pretty awesome.
Yeah, we have a good city council, and
Joyner and Luke.
But we've worked very hard, and we've always had this revitalization effort going really since the 70s.
Charlie's been on the city council for a while now, right?
Absolutely. But we really accelerated it once PPD established here. We built the convention center this in. We extended the Riverwalk and finished it all the way to the Isabel Holmes Bridge. Obviously, the amphitheater has been a tremendous thing for us. and you're putting all these parts together. It takes time and effort, and everybody working
Trial
together.
And error too.
Yeah, and so we and a lot of infrastructure improvements. 3rd Street, we made the improvements. 3rd Street,
and stuff
burying all the power lines there and beautifying 3rd Street and Front Street. What we did with Front Street.
DBA, Downtown Business Alliance.
I've always said, you've got to invest in your community.
Exactly. It's like investing in yourself.
Yeah, and if you don't want to make an investment in the community, then it's going to look what it's going to look like. This community has supported us in those investments, and it's paid dividends for all of us. And I think everybody can come down here in the evening and enjoy walking on the Riverwalk, take in the park, whether it's in use or not, go to a concert here or even at Greenfield Lake, which is now one of the most popular venues.
That's so cool.
In fact, a lot of people don't know this, but with Live Nation, which is one of the largest concert promoters in the country, them and AEG, the Greenfield Lake Amphitheater is the #1 small venue that they have. It's been recognized as the #1 small venue in the country.
No way.
And I remember back in 2006 when we were talking about retrofitting it and improving it, we caught some criticism, believe it or not. I think we spent about $2.5 million because there was very few people that were using it. I think the only people that were using it at the time was Shakespeare on the Green, which God bless them.
And
they're still using it. But we had the chairs from the old Strike at the Wind from the Outer Banks that was talking about the lost colony.
Very cool.
Where they had given us the old chairs many, many years ago. So we took all that out and we really improved it, and we're constantly making the experience better there. And it's a beautiful venue. There's not a bad seat in the whole place.
I went and seen the hot flashes. That was great.
The hot flashes.
Jennifer Harjo and Terry Espy and Loud Music Company.
Yeah,
so much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool to have that kind of. You have all some different kinds of outdoor.
We've become a music city.
We are,
which is ironic. I didn't think we'd be a music city, but we definitely got a lot of music.
It's definitely a party town.
And you know what? We have a lot of artists that love to play here. Not only Greenfield Lake.
I just heard Alabama. That was cool.
Amphitheater here,
Dave
which
Matthews.
is incredible. Yeah.
I was walking my dog and I can hear Dave Matthews doing radio checks. I'm like, oh my God, that's really his voice right now.
Yeah.
Right around the corner from my house.
Yeah.
But
we've had a lot of good artists come through.
So
here.
we had 4th of July was this past. What did you do for the 4th?
I was here conducting the orchestra on
that's
one
right.
song, "Stars and Stripes." but Liz Scanlon and the orchestra, the Wilmington Symphony Orchestra, is phenomenal. It's great. A lot of people in the park. It was packed. And then we had the fireworks show here on the river, and it was just a nice night, and families out here, and it was just a great night.
That's why I sound so raspy. I've had events it's been every day.
It's
beautiful. I had friends visiting from San Diego. Tracy and Andy were here, and they left yesterday, but it's been like one event after the other, and I'm like, I feel great. My voice is all crazy, but it's part of it. We're screaming over music and people, and entertaining is my middle name. It seems
yes,
like.
it is.
That's what we like to do. But
you're definitely an entertainer.
I don't want to hold you up too much longer, but I want to let you know I've always looked up to you. And
I appreciate that, Jesse.
I did have to. If I had to trade places for 1 week, it'd be with you.
Oh man,
I mean it.
That's very nice of you.
But for the future of Wilmington, as you're going to continue this journey as the mayor, is there any other arenas that you'd want to throw your hat in?
Any other arenas?
As far as being a governor or senator, or you're just content?
Well, when you're in an elected leadership role, there's always that pull to go somewhere else.
Yes. Well, the grass isn't always greener,
somebody will say, "Hey, you ought to run for the state senate, or go for governor, or go for something else." There's always another stepping stone to go to a higher point, Washington or Raleigh. My position has always been, or at least the way I've felt, is that no matter where you are, as an elected person, your job, once the citizens have elected you, is to do the best job possible for your community,
to own it.
and to work as hard as you can for the things that they've elected you to do. Mm-hmm. And I've been blessed to do it 10 times, and it's been a blessing. And I've just looked at it from the position where I sit. This is my hometown. I grew up here. I've always wanted to see it do well, and whatever I could do from the position I have now to make it better, I'm going to do. That's my job every single day, is to wake up to see what we can do to make things better. We're not perfect. We're never perfect, but we're always constantly chasing, perfection. You're never going to capture perfection. But if you just chase it, you're going to do real well. And if you can get everybody kind of in the same mindset, everybody's going to bring things to the table that will make things better. But your job is to try to get things done. So many times we hear from citizens, I get tired of what they're doing in Washington. I get tired of what they're doing. But here at the local level, we can get things done. We can move things quicker than they can up there. Just the whole process up there is just different than the process here. Local governments are made to move faster and to do things quicker. We do need their help from time to time, but we can move much faster than they can move, and they can do things.
With that being said, what would be your most proud accomplishment so far?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. I'm just proud of. I'm proud of what we have become as a community.
Amen.
You know, we're constantly having to work at it, but this is, you know, I remember what Wilmington used to be like in the 60s and 70s, and there was a nostalgic feel to it. It was a smaller town. Everybody knew each other. You could get around town.
Then. Now
it was a town.
Now it's a city.
It was a big town. It was a bigger town, but it's growing into a city. It's growing into a region. And I think the things that we have done, we have shared with the citizens that what we were going to do that was going to improve the quality of life, but also improve the experience of our community. We've done that because I remember downtown as a vibrant place. And then in the 70s, when everything moved out to the mall, Independence Mall, you know, J.C. Penney, Belkberry, you know, all the
Belkberry. I used to spray perfume there.
All the businesses moved out of downtown. Downtown was deserted. It
really was.
It was awful.
It was kind of dangerous,
I don't think anybody maybe
we didn't even come downtown.
The newcomers never saw that, but for those of us that lived here and saw that transition happen and saw that whole debacle, and then
look at Bijou Park.
And then the mindset at the time was, well, if we tear down some old buildings to create parking, because the reason the people are going out to the suburbs is because of the free parking. Okay. So we lost a lot of beautiful historic structures because people said we need more parking downtown for you know, that time the revitalization efforts were tear down buildings and build parking lots. It didn't work. And so we sat in this kind of holding pattern until really Mayor Ben Haldeman convened a group to start looking at ways that we could revitalize downtown Wilmington and revitalize our community. And that kind of started the revitalization efforts, and it's been ongoing ever since. And I'm proud to have been part of that. And I'm proud of so many achievements that we have done as a community, because I also have to give a lot of credit to the citizens. They have supported us in parks bonds, transportation bonds, that have given us the opportunity to build like the amphitheater, to improve Greenfield Lake, to finish our Riverwalk, to put the Cross City Trail, which is another great thing that I'm very proud of, is the Cross City Trail that we put throughout the city and continuing to build and add to. So there's a lot of things I'm proud of, but I'm really proud of this community, and it stands out now on the map. And when you go around the country, wherever you go, and you tell people you're from Wilmington, North Carolina, they know where it is. Before, I would say Wilmington, and they'd say Wilmington, Delaware.
Wilmington, Delaware, yeah.
That was always the thing that I would get back, Wilmington, Delaware. Now people know where Wilmington, North Carolina is, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud to call myself a Wilmingtonian and be the mayor of the city.
Well, Bill, I'm so grateful to have you on today. And
thank you, Jesse.
Thanks for having
Appreciate
me
it.
At your office. It's beautiful, and I'm honored to.
Always, buddy.
Thank you. To call you a friend.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.